So, hello, good afternoon, good morning to our today's webinar. And I can see many familiar faces. Maybe please first try to mute yourself. Yeah, sometimes we can hear other people talking. We are going to have a Q&A session at the end where you can talk, where you can ask questions, or you simply write it here in the chat. Otherwise, yeah, we are going to start. I'm asking first, who knows me or who doesn't know me yet? I know many people of you know me, but this is for people who are not familiar with my story, who want to know more about myself, what I have done all around the world. And at the end, I will give you one single piece of knowledge, which I actually learned during my life, which changed my life personally, and also which changed basically my, my trading career and my emotional view on trading. There's a simple way how we can actually solve this problem that we all have in trading. And well, this is what I'm going to try to teach you today. And then we are going to have another webinar tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday. Then you will get more other information about my trading ideas. For example, today we are focusing on my life and what I have experienced and how I used this experience to transform my trading and of course also my personal life. And also some of you, I already know, you have actually booked this VIP package, yeah. We are going to have more live sessions next week where we actually go into deeper knowledge of that what we are going to learn today or during the next days. Who isn't part of this yet can also sign up for it. I'm just adding here the link. Of course, who is already a member of our Logic and Intuition Trading doesn't need to do that, then you're already part of it. So a little bit about myself. Yeah, I'm also turning on my camera so you can see me in real. My life, yeah. There are some pictures of my past and yeah, basically how did my career start? As I was 11 years old, that was 1993, I actually saw every day our news channels called NTV in German, news channel at that time, and I was fascinated by the stock ticker. And I was writing down all the stock prices of the big German companies, and I was tracking them. So actually, I took my pen and paper and I draw my own charts. Probably, as you know, during that time, computers were actually very new during the 90s. Also, internet just started. And of course, if you're 11, 12, 13 years old, you do not have the money to buy a very expensive computer. And actually to block the telephone lines at home, because at that time, well, you only had like one line, and that was for all the family, yeah. And we were 5 people. I have one brother and one sister, so then it's getting busy. At the age of 13, actually, I started to buy my first stocks. And it was also a big experience. I went after school to our local bank and I asked them, I would like to buy one Volkswagen stock. And the lady, she looked at me, she smiled and said, okay, Mr. Rother, please, you have to go upstairs to visit our special broker for this. So I went upstairs in the bank and I went into this huge office. And there was one older man sitting in front of me. He looked at me and I told him my story. I saw Volkswagen stocks. There were, I think, like 400 D-marks at that time. And I wanted to buy one stock. And the man looked at me and said, no, you cannot buy stocks. You are too young for this. And if you tell me, or if anyone is telling me you cannot do that, then something is flipping in my head. And well, I have to find a solution to actually get things done. I went home and I actually read the law books. And it was not forbidden for a 13-year-old boy to buy stocks. I could not trade warrants, for example, or futures. Or I could not derivatives. Of course, I could not do. You have to be full of age, and you need a different capital at that time. But then I asked my mom, "Hey, well, I can trade stocks. I just need your approval for that." So I went with my mom to the bank, and she approved it. So I was allowed to buy stocks. And then I started to do my first trades. That was quite successfully. It was 1995. And I built up my own website. I made my first contacts. I was reading a lot of books, especially from an author called Joe Ross at that time. His books were very expensive, but somehow they taught me a lot about trading. And I became a little bit successful in that industry, or that small day trading niche at that time, that at the age of 17, two partners came to me, Georg and Aurelius, and they said, okay, Robert, we saw what you did online. We know that you can trade. You have a certain knowledge in that area. And would you like to join our investment company? And I said, wow, I was 17 at that time. And I said, yes, definitely. But I don't have money. They said, no worries. We are paying for your share. And I actually received 50,000 D-marks in cash. I will never forget this moment. I had like 51,000 D-mark notes in my hand. And well, that was the investment in that company. Well, at that time, I really felt, well, excited. Yeah. And you can see here on the top right, there is a picture of me that was in our office in Frankfurt. Then actually, I spent most of the time in Frankfurt with these two partners together, and they were teaching me how to trade. We were trading the S&P future. That contract was traded at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, and we could only trade it through phone. And we were actually calling directly at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, at the pit, and I placed my orders. At that time, the S&P still had a value of $250 per point. Yeah? So it was not like the mini, it was the previous one. And I actually was part of the transition from the floor traders to the online trading. It was that time, end of 1990, beginning of 2000, where a huge transformation took place. And that was very, well, good for me because I was familiar with computers. I started to learn with computers and trade through online trading. But most of the floor traders, they did not adapt themselves to the market conditions. And well, a couple years later, the floors died out. There's no more floor trading. Chicago Mercantile Exchange also transformed to online trading, and I was part of this transition. Actually taught me a lot, and it gave me the right opportunities to actually foster my trading ideas, my trading business, and of course, our investment company. In our investment company, we traded our own capital. And we did private equity investments. This is why I also learned how to actually, what is private equity, how to make PE investments. And I was trading managed accounts. That means I was actually managing money for other people. People opened a brokerage account, deposit money, and I was a trader for them. I was allowed to do that, and I was working under the umbrella of a bank. This was probably the first way of prop firm trading. Yeah, you're not allowed to do that if you do not have a license. And so I worked for a bank. I was employed at that bank, so I had the umbrella and the license to actually do that. You can see here some more pictures, top right. That's me in my office in Frankfurt. Yeah, on the left side here, where I'm smiling, I actually received my sentence, when I will get into that a little bit later in this story. And here on the bottom, you can actually see my most expensive car. That was a Ferrari Scuderia, modified by the German tuning company Novitec Rosso. And actually, I opened my own Ferrari luxury tuning workshop in Shenzhen, China. You can see this was my workshop. Why I did this and what was the idea behind it, I will also go into that later. And here on the right side, this was in Paul Ricard at the Côte d'Azur in France. And I was sponsored the Racing Box team with my company, China Europe Asset Management. And it's called the Racing Series of Le Mans, including the most famous and important car race in the world, the 24 Hours of Le Mans. My racing team took part. This time was very exciting, actually the establishment of my first company, but it also led to a huge, I could say, at the age of 20, I already had my first burnout. So I sold my shares of that company. I got like 200,000 euros for that. And well, I didn't want to do anything with trading anymore. And I took a year off. I moved into a nice apartment in Düsseldorf, and basically 1 year I did nothing else than drinking and partying with my neighbor. But of course, this is also after a while a little bit boring, but I had my first burnout. What we can see here, after my first burnout, I, well, recovered, and I had my good friend, and he asked me, hey, Robert, he was a trading consultant for the German and Chinese government. And he said, Robert, you're not doing anything right now. Do you want to come with me to China to make some vacation? I said, wow, yeah, why not? I have money, I have time. I'm coming with you to China. And I was 21 at that time. So we went from Düsseldorf to Shanghai, and I spent my first night in the Jinmao Tower on the 88th floor. We drank a nice bottle of whiskey, Chivas, and I knew, wow, this is the place to be. I want to stay in China. And the next day, we went actually from Shanghai to Guangzhou, Canton, in the southern part of China, and where my friend had his office. It's at the border to Hong Kong and Shenzhen. And there well, the easiest way to get hooked up in a country is when you find a girlfriend. And then I found a Chinese Australian lady, and well, we fell in love, so to say. Yeah, I mean, if you're 21, it's happening very fast. She was also a little bit older than me, but if you are Asian, well, it's a different. The lady's looking differently, yeah, a lot younger. And she had an shoes factory. And at that time, I was trading a little bit for myself. You had to manage my money, but I was not into that business again. I was still exhausted. And that was also the time, that was 2004, where I spent almost 1 year in Sydney. We wanted to open shoe shops in Sydney, producing the shoes in China and selling them in Australia. It was a very nice time. I fell in love with Sydney. I lived in Bondi Junction, not far away from the beach, and a very nice apartment with a view on the sea. And well, I have to say, the business idea that we had to open a shop and so on failed. Yeah, I lost a lot of money in that venture because I had no idea how to run actually a shop, and also what I have to take care of is I was not into that sort of retail business. The only thing I basically knew was how to trade the stock markets. And also, as I was 18, I actually quit school. I was just before my high school graduation, but I quit and I did not want to go to school anymore. It was a waste of time for me. And well, at that time I was already in, most of the time in Frankfurt. You can see here on the right side, again, the presentation of my Ferrari. That was my second one, my second Ferrari. There's also a nice story about this Ferrari. Later, you can see here our LMP2 car, Le Mans Prototype 2. This car I sponsored, and there's my company name, CEAM. It was China Europe Asset Management Company in Switzerland. And well, that was a very, very nice year. It cost me almost 750,000, the sponsoring for 1 year, euros, but it was a huge success. And why I did this, I will also go into that later. You can see here on the bottom right, this was my racing driver, Luca Piri. He won many times the GT3 World Championship. He's Italian, and actually I met him in Zhuhai. Yeah, after I bought my first Ferrari, I also bought the Ferrari Pilota training, and it's like 1 weekend where you learn how to use your Ferrari and actually how to drive professionally and safely on a racing track. And well, then we met each other and we became best friends till this day. He was also a couple of weeks ago on a Bookmap live stream and watched me. We are living in Roma and extreme sport guy, so to say. Here on this, on the bottom, on the left side, you can see myself and Angelina. Angelina was my business partner at that time. To continue the first story with the failed business venture in China, in Australia, well, led me back to China, and I also the relationship with Sissy, that was her name, was also over, and I went to Starbucks coffee shop in Guangzhou, and I was sitting there with my laptop and tried to make my research. You know, at that time you did not stay at home. You went to Starbucks coffee shop, you had good internet, and you met also a lot of foreigners. Then Angelina came to me and she said, is this seat opposite of you still available? I said, yes, sure, come. So then we started to talk. And from that day on, I think that was in 2006, 2005, 2006, from that day on, we actually made a pact and that we joined our intelligence and our expertise to build up, to make business together. And also the long-term goal was to go back into the investment business. She studied law, was one of the best law graduates in Shanghai from a very, how to say, noble family in Shanghai. And she moved to Guangzhou because she also had some personal problems. But she was the only one, probably the smartest lady that I have ever met in my life, with whom I could talk about stocks, about business, how to set up my business blueprint. Actually, I always had the idea. I gave her the idea, and she was like the CEO who could actually realize these ideas that I had in my mind. And for me, the long-term goal was simply to set up a second investment company in China and to enter this business. So she had contacts in that area, but she, as a woman in China, it's not so easy to set up a company like that. Yeah. So she also had not this trading knowledge that I had, but well, we joined forces and we started to build up our network. And we have to say, during that time, 2006, 2007, it was a difficult time because everyone was making money. Our housemate, she quit the job because she was making more money on the stock markets than with her salary from us. So then, of course, all my alarm bells are ringing, yeah. But still, there was not the end of the China stock rally. It just went crazily up on the upside. So on this, in a market condition like this, also no one needs your advice because everyone is making money. And so it was difficult for us to set up an investment firm without any clients, because if your housemate is making more money, then, well, it's like that, yeah. So you have to be patient. We did some other business during that time. We actually set up a fine jewelry company. Shenzhen is famous for fine jewelry manufacturing, like gold, platinum, silver jewelry with diamonds. And since Hong Kong is also one of the trading diamond hotspots in the world, we set up a business and sold these fine jewelry to Germany, United States, because the manufacturing costs were very, very low compared to Germany, for example. And then we were simply building up our network. Yeah, this is the most important thing. And then there came a day when Warren Buffett said, oh, hey, I'm going to sell now my my PetroChina shares. And PetroChina were one of the biggest companies in the oil business in China. It's a huge, huge company. And Warren Buffett said, okay, now it's time for me to exit this business. It was a very good investment. I made a lot of money, but now I believe the rally is over. And then the Chinese started to laugh about Warren Buffett and said, how stupid is this man? How can you sell now the Chinese stocks? Impossible. The market will go up anyway. Yeah. Same like cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin to the moon. Yeah. Something like that. And for me, I said, okay, now it's time to really pay attention to the market circumstances. And we had a good network at that time already. And then the subprime crisis came in 2008. So it was very, very good experience for me because it was not my first crisis. I also was trading in 2001, 9/11. So, you're familiar with these sort of situations. And these sort of situations are always very good to make money. Then the problem was in 2008, the Chinese government actually cut the money in and outflow of China because all the foreign investors were withdrawing cash out of China. And the economy was drying up. On the other side, salaries couldn't be paid to the employees. And many of my friends, they have like 5,000, 10,000 employees in their factories. And now the suppliers didn't pay anymore. And they couldn't bring money in and out of China because the government blocked this. And then there was a niche. So we had all these factories who needed actually cash to pay employees. And then I had a lot of other rich Chinese businessmen who wanted to bring their money out of China because they were afraid that they will take their money. It's confiscated. You know, everyone in China has something, some corruption or whatever. Everyone who is rich in China at that time had some skeletons in the closet, yeah. And then simply that also the Chinese did not know who can we trust, who is a spy and who's not a spy, yeah. It's a very important topic. Then they came to me and they asked me, hey, Robert, I want to bring my US dollar out of China or my renminbi out of China or in China. So and then I became the middleman. Actually, I never really brought the big amount of money from one country to the other. I simply gave the guarantee, if you get $1 million here, you get the equivalent in China. And for this, we took between 5 and 10% commissions during that time, and the people were happy. So the factory owners got their renminbi to put them in. The other people got rid of their US dollars. So it was a win-win situation. And that lasted a couple months, almost half a year, where I brought actually a lot of money from China to Hong Kong, Macau, this triangle. Hong Kong is the financial city of Asia. Then we have Macau, which is equivalent to Las Vegas. But in Macau, they do a lot more turnover per head because Chinese are simply gamblers, crazy gamblers. And well, then we have the access to mainland China, Shenzhen, where I was based, and where also stock exchanges, the second one after Shanghai. And then I was simply spinning the money around Hong Kong, Macau. Macau's a great city because of the casinos. You have chips, yeah, to gamble, which are worth like $1 million. $1 million chips is easy thing. If my Chinese friends, they play baccarat, they play like 250,000 euro per hand. This is crazy. And one game only takes like 10 or 15 seconds. So that was a good way for us to actually bring the money around. And that was also one of my best days. On the first day of the crisis, we made over $800,000 in commission. And then the business became interesting. These $800,000 actually were the starting point to go into a new era. I bought with this 800,000 my first Ferrari. My first Ferrari costs $600,000. And I bought an AP, Audemars Piguet Skeleton Royal Oak perpetual watch. This watch costs $80,000 at that time. So almost $700,000 I invested. But why did I invest this money? Not because I wanted to have this nice watch and a Ferrari. Yes, of course, it's a great thing. But if you buy a Ferrari, you also become member of the Ferrari Owners Club. So it was a strategic investment for me to get access to a new client base. And then I went to the Ferrari owner, to the Ferrari shop who bought the Ferrari. I was the first foreigner or first white man who actually bought a Ferrari in China. And then immediately I went to the Ferrari Owners Club. This is a group of 50 people in Shenzhen, and in Guangdong province, there were around about 150 Ferrari owners. And I was one of them. I remember at that night, I went to the karaoke, and the Chinese, they looked at me. Most of them also spoke English, yeah. They are Hong Kongese, for example. They said, well, what are you doing here? You're not a Ferrari owner. Then Day is the name of the manager. He said, well, he is the first guy who bought actually a black Ferrari F430 in China. Well, and then, yeah, the business, the party started. They became crazy. They asked me, what am I doing? Then, of course, I'm a trader, investment business. And many of them were also traders, and they made a lot of money with inside trading. So I was 1 second to the other. I was together with 50 people who were very, very rich and who were very eager to get to know me. Then that was the foundation to build up my Guangxi. Guangxi, I will also explain later. The consequence was that my business basically went from like $1 million in 2008, 2009, up to $100 million, over $100 million under management in after 10 months. I set up my official investment company. I had my license. I had my team of 30 people. And actually, who wants to look more into my company, there's still a trailer of my company called Finance China. Finance China is also was my flagship website. It translated Chinese stock market information to English. And this, of course, is, I can post the link here. Let me see in the chat. Oh, again, this link. Okay, this YouTube link in the chat. It's like 5 minutes, but this is, you can see here my Chinese financial website, Finance China, became very successful. I had all the licenses from the Chinese government, yeah? And the website, I wanted to become like the Bloomberg of China. And who controls the news also controls the money flow. And at that time, I bought the license from the Chinese government, and the Chinese just said, why is a foreigner so stupid to pay so much money for this sort of rights, copyrights? Because at that time, the Chinese financial market was not open to the public, only for, so to say, QFI, qualified foreign investors. But I believe one day the Chinese must open their infrastructure, their market, and then, well, if I control the news, I am the big guy. I simply underestimated the power of the Chinese government at that time. So here we are coming back to that topic of Guangxi, which I actually implemented into my community that I'm running right now, or that I'm building up since year 2000, 2020, after I got released. 600,000 US dollar, like I said, the entry fee for the first Ferrari. We can see here on the right side, that was the grand opening of my tuning shop, my luxury car tuning shop in Shenzhen, together with Novitec Rosso. So here, my partner, that was the CEO of the, yeah, so to say, China Securities Regulatory Commission, same equivalent to the SEC. So we got all the big guys together. Then, of course, it's quite easy to make money if you have the right network with the right information. So Guangxi is Chinese and simply means build up your network. And that is what I'm also focusing on right now with my German-speaking community and my English-speaking community. If you have the right network, you always know someone who can do something for you. If you do not have a network, everything is very complicated. And you need a lot of time and power to actually reach your goal. But if you immediately know through a trusted network, you are very powerful. And that is a group of people that we have. But of course, to build up a network is not easy. And it also has certain rules in a network. You are responsible for the people who you bring into the network. This is, for example, why Ferrari Owners Club, the entrance fee is $600,000 for Ferrari. If you do not have that money, well, you're not qualified for that community. And these people who are in that community, they have a lot more money. They only want to be together with people on the same level. So the conclusion is they can also do trusted business. Nobody will ask you, where did you get the $600,000 for the Ferrari from? Yeah, which was the source. Point is simply, you have them, you got them. And that is the, so to say, trust to enter this sort of society. And then every person that you actually bring into that network, into that guangxi, you are responsible for this. For example, I bring someone into that community and this person is actually cheating the other members. I am responsible for that because nobody believes in the law in China, and really you have to take care. Your network is your absolutely golden foundation that you have to take care of. You have to be very sure who you let into your network or who has to go out, because it reflects your image. And as better your network, as stronger you are, and as faster you reach your goals. Either if it is money or getting a building permit, something like that, whatever it is, you will reach your goal quickly. And then, of course, the big change came if you are very successful in China. 1 month before my arrest, I actually received my Chinese partner for this business invited me for dinner, and he said, "Hey, Robert, the guys in Beijing, that means the government, they do not like what you're doing right now here." And I said, "Okay, I don't understand. I have the license. I'm paying money to the government. For me, it's a legit business." But he said, "No, they want that you shut it down." I said, "I'm investing every month $250,000 into that business for licensing for 30 employees to build up everything." And he said, "Yeah, well, you should do this." I said, "No, I'm not going to do that. And I believe I'm on the right side. Typical German mind. Yeah, we believe in the law. We believe that what you write on paper. And if you go to court, this is all as a valid foundation." Well, in China, it's not like that. I went back to Germany to watch my soccer club. They won the league title in 2011. And as I came back in May 2011, actually the police, my driver picked me up from the airport in Hong Kong, and then we drove back to Shenzhen, to China. And I went out to an opening of a local pub where I also invested. And then the police came and asked me if we could talk. Well, you cannot say no if the police is coming to you, the Chinese police, and asking if you want to talk, if they want to talk, or if we could talk. Yeah, and then the nightmare began. They took me to the Chinese police station, and that police station, I actually had to wait another 12 hours. And from that police station, they brought me to the interrogation center. They already put me into cuffs. They put me behind bars, and they started to interrogate me for like 24 hours. And then they said, "Well, we have to put you now into a detention center." I said, "Okay." I had to Google what means detention center. And I figured that out. That's, well, not a good thing. But I believed that, well, somehow I will get out of that situation, because many times actually I got in trouble with the police. For example, my $1 million Ferrari, I crashed it during daytime, drunk into a bus with my second girlfriend. That was a big problem. Not because of the damage of $100,000, but my second girlfriend was sitting next to me, and not my first girlfriend, yeah, and my business partner, Angelina. So that was a lot of trouble, I can tell you. That big headache for me. And then I had to make, actually, they suspended my driver license in China. I had to make the idiot test, yeah, in China. So I got my second license in China, and I passed this. And then I got a second driver, one for day, one for night. And I had to buy a new Maserati quadruporte because 4 people could sit inside that. I can tell you, in a Ferrari, you get maximum 3 ladies when you're driving. And if the Ferrari is already a lot lower, modified, yeah, you're getting problem with the streets. Yeah, and so I believed I always got out of it, because one in our community was also the Chinese Shenzhen traffic police officer. So you somehow get out of this, yeah. And I believed, okay, whatever. I will also get out of this. Must be a big misunderstanding because I believed I didn't do anything wrong. I had the license and I did not even know what they were actually charging me at that time. And then they put me into a detention center. We went to Shenzhen detention center number 3. And they actually put me, I had to take off my clothes, and they took me into that cell, and the door opened. It was a green metal door, and I had to go inside through a narrow niche into that cell. And well, everyone looked at me. I was on, I think, like 20 square meter. Yeah. And there were 15 people on that place lying together. And mostly Chinese and some Americans, Chinese Americans, and also Africans, Nigerians. Yeah, it was a VIP detention center. The Chinese were mostly government officials and big businessmen who got detained mostly for corruption. And then foreigners also came to this detention center. Most of the foreigners were simply there because of drug cases. Yeah, and I was so tired. And then I was sitting there. I had to lie on the floor, and I just only wanted to sleep. Next morning, 7 o'clock, we had to wake up, and I asked them, okay, now are we going to lunch or to breakfast or whatever? They were all laughing. No, Robert, your life is now in this little cell with all of us together. We had 20 square meters on the inside and 20 square meters on the outside, but the walls were like 4 meters high. You could not see anything. So you were completely isolated. And I didn't know what was going on. Next day, police came. They interrogated me for over 100 hours. I had to sit sometimes 12, 15, 16 hours on a stone, yeah, so to say stone. And they were simply interrogating me, trying to actually put pressure on me that I am going to confess or actually put the blame on my business partner, Angelina. That is the game. You know, you're good cop, you're bad cop, and they tell you, yeah, if you confess that she did that business and so on, then you can go home. But I said, no, we didn't do anything wrong. I would not blame her, put anything on her, yeah. Nothing. I kept my mouth shut. But I did not know what she was doing. We had no contact, yeah. I did not know if she maybe said that I'm the boss and I be responsible, because I had also trying to actually mislead myself. You have no idea what is going on. They're just telling you, here, look at this, something written in Chinese, and I could not write it in Chinese, could not read Chinese. And they said, here, your partner said that you are responsible for that and you are getting the death penalty. I said, whoa, death penalty? At that time on my crime, there was still the death penalty. They said we are dealing here with a volume of over 1 billion US dollar. Yeah, we said, okay. Well, I did not know if this is true or if this is not true. I had no information. So you're sitting in the middle of nowhere. You have no idea what's going on, and you cannot trust anyone. Who's in your cell? Are these spies for the government? Can you trust them? Can you not trust them? Well, you're definitely on your own, and you need a lot of inner strength to actually get not crazy and basically tell things that you do not want to say to the police, because somehow they curse you into that sort of situation. And luckily, the German government came, and I got a very good lawyer in China who actually took care of me, who came regularly to visit me. But the next 1.5 years, I stayed in that detention center and did not know what actually what my charge is. They say, okay, Robert, you have to go to detention center for 3 days. Then you can go home. After 3 days, they come, we have to extend it for another 7 days. Then they're coming back. Okay, now we have to extend it for 3 months. And then they have extended for 6 months. And they're continuously extending your stay. You don't know when you're going, you don't know what is going to happen. The only thing I knew, my lawyer told me, okay, Robert, on your case, there is no more death penalty, only life sentence. I said, okay, that's nice. So that I do not have to fear about my life. And I have to say, I stayed together with a Canadian, and he was actually executed for drug trafficking. So I knew this is real. One morning they came, they took him out of our cell, and he wanted to take his things with him. And the police said, no, you don't need this anymore. And they took him, and next morning he got executed. Yeah, that was something many of my friends, or few, I would say, at least 10 to 15, were executed during that time as I was in detention center. And then you learn completely new way of death. And when you know that they are taking you out and bringing you to the execution part. And I spent also 6 months in a Chinese prison because I had high blood pressure. And I saw every morning how they actually took out around 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, took out the prisoners. They put them on the bench. They took out the jar so they could not scream. And they were sedated. Well, and then I asked one day my neighbors in the cell what is going to happen with them. Well, they are going to be executed. This is why they are here. Then we saw this basically every morning. And you see really death in front of you. After 1.5 years, I actually got my charges, which were contract fraud of over $1 billion US. That were simply the charges. Yeah, it didn't mean anything, but at least I knew what is going on. And also, it was the first time where my lawyer actually had access to all the interrogation papers. And he said, hey, Robert, your friend, Angelina, she didn't say any single word against you. She took all the blame on herself. And then I really almost my tears came, yeah. And my lawyer said, well, he never has seen something like this in his life before, yeah, in his lawyer career. So then we still had to wait another 1.5 years until we actually went to court. So I stayed 3.5 years in that detention center on this 20 square meter with almost always like 10 to 15 people. Eating, shitting, everything on the same space. And well, then it went to court. And here you can see on the right side picture of me going to Shenzhen Intermediate Court. I had like 10 days was the 10 days of court hearing were set. And after the 10th day, or it took like 2 or 3 months, I received my sentence. And my sentence was 8 years and 1.2 million RMB. It's almost $200,000 penalty. 8 years was the maximum sentence because they could not prove that I am actually the boss. They said, okay, I was the assistant, so to say, from Angelina. And Angelina received life sentence and is still serving in Chinese lady prison in Dongguan. From what I know, I have no contact to her. I cannot write to her. This is all forbidden. And from that day on, actually, we did not see each other anymore and don't have contact. Well, and then I got transferred from actually detention center to Chinese prison, and there is a different life. Really, you have to, you're together with murderers, rapists, drug dealers, completely insane people. And you are actually not in a prison like we know this from, for example, TV series or TV shows. A Chinese prison is forced labor camp. Every day, 9 hours at least going to Chinese factory and producing electronic things, toys, clothes, whatever there is to produce right now. And you get like $1.50 per month for this. So you're going to face completely different people. Yeah? And we are also living on like 19 square meters with 19 people. It's like 1 square meter for one person. Yeah. And that was a very, very, yeah, life-changing time. And actually during this time, where I also want to come to the point today, how question is always, how could you actually go through this? Yeah, what was your key to overcoming this and not getting crazy? Many people went crazy during that time. Either they are getting very fat and their brain is going to melt, so to say, or they are getting very skinny and they are getting completely insane. You can really see there's a huge change in person's behavior if you do not take care of yourself. So for me, the most important thing was simply how can I actually turn around this situation right now in prison, which I cannot change, into opportunities. Building and strengthening my resilience, yeah. Learning to survive in a Chinese prison. For example, I stayed together 6 years with a group of Palestinians, and they helped me a lot to actually go through this sort of life. Yeah, they did not spend the first time in jail, and you're building up completely new relationships. One thing I would probably never have done, I read over 400 books or even more, I don't know, but a huge amount of books which gave you a deep knowledge. And they had really good books because the English books, they were actually donated from the libraries, and they were basically old traditional philosophy or English literature, and also stock market information, because nobody bought these books and they all were sent to prison. So I had actually a big, huge library of very good books that we could read and educate ourselves. Then after 7 years and 7 months, basically that's me after my release, yeah. That was in December 2018, I got released. My sentence was reduced by 7 years and I should have 8 years, yeah. 5 months, they reduced my sentence because I paid the fine of $200,000. And then you're back into the back into the world, yeah, back into normal life, so to say. But there is nothing normal anymore. Yeah, you went through a 180 degrees transformation, and then I really you are there. What should you do? The first thing I wanted to do was to write a book. This was the result. Dragon Years. It's not available in English yet, but we are working on that. And that was also the therapy for me. After I got released, I spoke to one of Germany's biggest magazines, Spiegel or Mirror, and they published my story in February. And then a ghostwriter came to me and asked me if I wanted to write a book. I said, yes, of course. So then this journey began. It took me 1 year to write this book until it's getting published. It was just before Corona. It became a top 10 best-selling book in Germany. And I went to TV shows, media, and everything. And then, of course, what am I going to do? Yeah, well, back into the trading business. After the release of my book, the first people asked me, here, what can you teach me how to trade the stock markets or how to invest? And then I went back into that business. And then I saw, oh my God, where am I right now? I went to YouTube, to Instagram, and I said, wow, there are so many people who are actually can teach you how to trade. I mean, I did this business for a long time. I educated many traders who actually worked for me as an employee and traded my own capital. Then I saw all this misleading marketing information on YouTube videos where I said, well, you believe them? If you see this, they never did a trade in their life, yeah, and trying to sell things which are completely nonsense, yeah. So I started to learn. Thought, okay, well, I'm going to learn what is YouTube, what is live streaming. And then I also found Bookmap, the software. I said, wow, if I would have this software years earlier, would be amazing. But then I started to work together, and I met one of my partners, Peter, at that time, and then we built up our first German trading community. Yeah. But I was really shocked about this, and that actually was a inspiration for me to do things differently with the knowledge that I learned from prison and actually bring it to on a new level. And so my first analysis that I posted on TradingView, yeah. So immediately the same day, the CEO of TradingView called me, the head of Europe, and asked me, hey, Robert, this is what we are looking for. finally someone who knows something about the markets and how to analyze them. Yeah, it was, I think, in 2020. Then I started my journey, basically learning, trying to get rid of the fear of live streaming, how to get better in that, how to build up communities, learn about social media, and of course, trading. Yeah. Then I always say, I saw so many mindset coaches outside in that business. They said, yeah, you must have the right mindset. And if you look at these things, I said, oh my God, you want to teach me mindset. And the things, the get rich quick formulas and everything you want to tell me is crucial for being a successful person or being a successful trader. Well, I only can say I stayed together with Colombians. That was a nice group of people. And well, they said there is a proverb in their language. It means a man is only a man if he has been in prison or at war. Yeah. And there's a lot of truth because you see life from a different angle. Everything that you see, what they're talking about, society or in the society, it's simply nonsense. Well, what means nonsense? I mean, people are talking about problems where I think to myself, well, if these are your problems, I would consider myself very lucky. So you basically, so I saw this and I saw these coaches, for me, it was clear, no, I cannot identify myself. And if this is really the basis right now in the trading industry, what the people are teaching, well, then I have a very good niche with my experience as a fund manager, hedge fund manager, and well, with my mindset or with my experience from prison. So here are, for example, some emotional difficulties in prison that we are basically facing. Yeah, isolation and loneliness. Yeah. Well, if you think that you're with 18 people on 18 square meters, that you are not alone, it's completely wrong. You're basically very lonely because you cannot talk with anyone. There's no one who you can actually trust. It's very difficult to find people who do not want to exploit you. And you're completely isolated from the outside. Yeah. And if you see that in trading, it's almost the same thing. Who can you talk to with your trading? You cannot talk to your wife, basically, or to your friends. They do not understand what you're doing. Fear and anxiety, yeah. Personal safety. Yeah, I also had my fights with one guy from Mongolia. You have to stand up for yourself, yeah, to defend yourself. And even if it means that you get punished for this. But you have to be very careful and you always look behind your back. Basically, you walk with, you do not like to sit somewhere where you do not see what is behind you, yeah? You always sit back at the wall. Depression, yeah? I can tell you, as I did not know when I got actually released from prison, or actually, let's say, always extended my prison time or my detention time, I really fell into deep, deep depression holes, yeah? And you really must get yourself together. And in a couple of minutes, I will tell you how I actually managed it, yeah? Anger and frustration, hopelessness, yeah, this is simply, it can eat you up. It costs you all the energy, yeah? And the difficulties that you face in prison are also somehow, we can also relate them into trading, yeah? Fear and anxiety, fear of loss, fear of taking profits, for example, yeah? Anxiety of entering trades, overconfidence. I know this market must go into my direction, cannot go lower because it's already so low, but it still can go. Impatience, yeah, fear of missing out. Everyone knows it. I have to catch the trade because it's already running in my direction. Then I buy at the top, or I sell at the low because I simply cannot wait. Regret and guilt, yeah. For me, basically, why did I do this trade? Why did I fall back into my FOMO? Why I did an overconfident trade again, even if I know I should not do that. Emotional detachment, lack of passion and missed opportunities. Yeah. I can say if you're really totally in that trading business, you forget mostly family. Maybe if you have children, you will forget them. You will forget your environment and you only focus on your computer. And then, of course, who doesn't know it if the market, if you already analyze the market and said, if the market goes through this level, well, you should buy or you should sell, and you did not pull the trigger. Then when you pull the trigger, you basically buy at the wrong side. So how actually did I get over this, especially here, the emotional difficulties in prison? And there's a very simple thing, and I'm doing this until this day. I really learned to keep a diary, to write a diary. Every day I wrote hundreds, even thousands of pages, I would say. Every day, how am I feeling? What are the problems that I am facing right now, deep inside of me? And I used, well, I'm a Christian. I used the Bible as a reference book for me. I read a lot about this to actually get a set of values, which I believe are important for me. Then, well, if this is just one way, you have to define your own values from whatever religion, for example, or other book or other philosophers that might be of important for you, yeah, that you have sort of anchor point. And then you actually compare your own behavior that you are doing right now with these sort list of values. And I did this every day, and I could feel on a small layer that my problems that I addressed, like anxiety or fear, they became less and less and less. It is not that if we do something that you can change immediately, or that this, you cannot say, I do not have fear anymore, or I don't have FOMO anymore from one second to the other. But maybe if you can do this, probably you're sort of a genius. But most of the people, and I can also speak for myself, is if we have a scala, like 1 is very low fear and 100 is a lot of fear for the same problem, then basically you will see the fear scala is going down from 99 to 98, 95, 90. And if the problem comes again and again and again, you actually can already recognize this problem, and your subconscious is dealing with that problem, and it doesn't hurt you, I would say. It doesn't disturb you in this way anymore. And this, for me and from every person or every trader that I educated during my lifetime, everyone who started to write a diary about his personal feelings and, of course, the feelings that I have during trading improved dramatically over a period of, I would say, 4 to 8 weeks. If you do this one time, okay, maybe it won't help you. If you do this over a period of 2 weeks, you will already see that if you trade and you fall into a certain setup of FOMO, for example, fear of missing out, you will see that the pressure to act is not that hard anymore. Actually, it's reducing, 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 reducing. And then one day you're basically totally aware of this situation that you are not triggered anymore to act. And what you can do is, and everyone who is here, you simply try, if you want to make it public, the first way is simply Google spreadsheet, write down, yeah, day 1, what is now 24th June, 24, feelings, yeah. And you simply write down what is inside of you. And if you want to share it, you basically, you go to our free community, yeah, here, Trader's Mindset, if you're not there yet, and you simply publish it, and you can share your progress with like-minded traders. They can help you. We are going to review that, yeah? And you can see your improvement. If you're already a member of our Logic and Intuition group, of course, you can see most of the people are actually publishing it right now. And then we can see that we have this improvement going on. This is the lesson that I want to bring you today. Start writing a diary, and really my suggestion is also publish it in our community, and you will get feedback. And again here, if we talk about community, And Guangxi, what we actually have built up over the last 4 years is we have a yearly community event on the island of Norderney in northern Germany. This year, the next event is on the 16th of November. It's a Saturday. I will arrive a couple days earlier and stay a couple days longer. A friend of mine has a very nice restaurant. There are always like 40 to 50 traders and businessmen, and we are exchanging ideas. We have one evening. There is simply eating, drinking, best food, best drinks, yeah, and getting together. Also on that day, there is another game from TuS Norderney ladies handball team, and also the children team from TuS Norderney. You can see we are sponsoring them. This is my logo. We donated handballs, clothes, everything to this. So we are giving things from our community back to actually support organizations. Yeah, and this get together. There are very, very good friendships came out or developed through that time, where I can only say, wow, really, really nice people. And this getting together, this Guangxi, this community thinking, this is actually the heart of what am I doing right now. We all have one passion. This passion is trading and probably making money through financial markets. But also many members of our community actually did other businesses together, which are not related to trading. Many of them, they're actually very good businessmen. They have their own companies, they have their good jobs, and they do not want to quit their job. Definitely not. They love what they're doing, but they also have a passion for trading and want to meet like-minded people. And here, yeah, we have regular community gatherings, big pictures again, like below. This was a China example, yeah, opening of my Novitec showroom. And above here, this is the Leckerbeck. Yeah, they are also like family, these two people. These are the two owners, Stefan and Danny. And well, this year again, 16th November, if you want to be part of it, just contact me and I will also offer more information. And I can tell you it's always a very, very nice getting together. And this is what I love to do. I love to build up networks. They're making me stronger and they're making everyone in that community stronger. And I'm probably, if you can see my role, I'm the gatekeeper of that community. I must make sure that the right people are coming to that community who are on the same mindset, I would say, same set of beliefs, so that we do not get trouble, that we can grow together. And this year will be the fourth event. Yeah, so it's not that we are starting it new, it's now the fourth event. Well, that was it from my side. Yeah, again, diary, start to write, and you will see how a diary can unleash your hidden potential and solve your daily mental problems in life and in trading. So if you have any questions right now, you can actually ask them now. Either you can write them in the chat, or if you like, you can also turn on your mic.
Hello.
Hello?
Yeah. I was wondering if you learned to speak Chinese in prison.
Yes, a little bit. I learned to communicate, small talk, and I even could write up to 1,000 characters. You have to, it was a nice challenge. And if you really live in a foreign country and you want to get to know the people, you must learn and respect, most importantly, the culture, and of course, learn the language.
And how is it? Can you now travel to China again, or are you,
No,
is it forbidden to you?
for me, it's forbidden. I am a persona non grata in China. I cannot travel to China anymore.
Okay, I
And I
see.
don't want, the risk is too high. I do not want to go back there again.
Ah, I see.
But I love the
Yeah.
country. I love the people. It's very nice. It was a good time, but for me, it's too dangerous.
What about your aspects in regarding your life right now. Do you have the feeling you have got a better person, so to say, after, when I see the pictures with your Ferrari, I'm absolutely not into cars. I don't care for cars and stuff like this. Um, I have the feeling that you were really into money and all that shit stuff that is dealing around.
Definitely.
That you can see also in politics and all these, these rich people who do not know where to go with their money. And for me, it looks like you turned out to be a better person.
Definitely. Well, before prison, I really was this Wall Street guy, all for the money, yeah, and for the power. And then prison totally changed one personality. Now, I will not say that money is not important. Money is definitely important because with money, I can get freedom and I can do the things that I believe in, that I want to do. Without money, this is also not possible. But
Yeah, that's true.
it's not the main focus anymore. I mean,
Okay.
money is like a sword. You can use it to attack or you can also use to defend. Yeah. Now, this is the difference from before. Now I know for what actually I want to use money or my abilities.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Daniel here from Sweden. I just want to say thank you for being honest about your background in prison and stuff like that. I think it's good to be honest about the background, even though it's not so flattering background. But thanks in a way for being honest about it. I think it means a lot because if we did trust you from the very beginning and then much later find out about this, then maybe that will be a little bit different game. So it's good to be honest from the very beginning. So thank you very much for that. That was all.
Yes, definitely, Daniel. You have to be honest. I mean, honestly, I'm getting tired, or you're getting tired of lying or telling fake stories. Yeah, it's too much energy consuming, and no, it doesn't make sense in the long run. You're only always going to fail. Yeah, and well, I have nothing to hide, so I'm quite honest about it. Whatever questions you have, you can, well, I can hopefully answer it.
Yeah, no, I don't have any particular
Yeah.
particular question. It was only I want to say that and give you credit for that, being honest. Thank you.
Uh, yes, what kind of question do you ask yourself? Rezo, you mean what am I asking myself? What I want to do is I'm looking very deeply into, well, into the deep spaces in my brain, and I'm thinking about how I can improve these my certain behavior. Yeah, how can I make it actually better and try to find new ways of improving myself? But this is right now on a very deep state mind area, I would say. A diary. Well, in a diary, I basically write what am I feeling right now. Yeah, I just simply try to get this, what I have in my subconscious, out on paper. And then I try to find, okay, what is the reason for these sort of feelings? Where do they come from? And then I can actually make a connection. If something like this happens, then I get this feeling. And then I have to judge, okay, is this feeling now positive for me or negative? And if I, for example, if we look at trading and if I have a FOMO trade again, yeah, and I have that feeling, and if I recognize this feeling and this pattern over a long time, then actually it becomes less and less and less. And one day you do not have this sort of pressure anymore. I cannot say that there is no more FOMO at all, but the way how you deal with fear of missing out is completely different. We are getting away of this. And this is what I'm asking myself every day. You're welcome. Yeah, if there are no more questions, well, and I would prepare the recording. Do you still feel anxiety when trading? No, very seldom. I'm aware that this feeling is coming up, but since I worked so hard on myself over so many years, that I do not feel it anymore. And I also found sort of other ways to actually compensate for this sort of feeling. I mean, we have to admit we are all sort of gamblers if we are trading, especially futures trading. And for me, to get rid of that feeling, for example, I do some sports betting with friends, yeah, like $10, $20, playing the dice in the pub, yeah. And if you lose, well, you lose like $50, yeah. So, but this already is solving the problem of addiction. So I compensated with something that is not as dangerous as trading your own capital. Well, it seems to be that there is no more question. Then I would end the meeting and I would say we see each other tomorrow. And tomorrow I will explain how I interpret the markets. What is my view, how I understand the markets. And this I want to convey you, teach you to actually learn my way of thinking. Okay, then have a nice evening and see you tomorrow, yeah? Bye.
Bye.